Okay, hello everyone in the entire universe. We're producing the Reel to Reel show. The movie today, Cowboys and Aliens. Very exciting sci-fi, fantasy, horror, Western, panoramic, pan-drama, epic, produced 1997. Original idea and came out in 2011. I'm going to read about this synopsis of the movie to start, and it stars Daniel Craig and Olivia Wilde, the beautiful, dark-haired, big-eyed actress from the House series originally, where she got a notable acting post. And Daniel Craig, of course, is the James Bond of the most recent historical genre repetition. So I'm going to read from these Cowboys and Aliens. I'm going to read the plot of and share. Also, we have a very exciting new wave synopsis or understanding about what this movie is and why it is a reel-to-reel, going from fiction to a true description and relation of the true history of the Wild West and the alienation, humanitarian condition of the 20th century and many centuries, millenniums past. In 1873, New Mexico Territory, a man, Daniel Craig, awakens injured in the desert with a strange metal bracelet attached to his left wrist and no memory. He wanders into the town of Absolution, where preacher Meacham, played by Clancy Brown, treats his wound. Sheriff John Taggart, played by Keith Carradine, recognizes the stranger as wanted outlaw Jake Lonergan and attempts to arrest him. Jake nearly escapes, but a woman named Ella Swenson, played by Olivia Wilde, interferes. Taggart and his men prepare to transport both Jake and petulant young drunkard Percy Dollarhide, played by Paul Dano, to the Santa Fe city for trial. Percy's father, Colonel Woodrow Dollarhide, is played by Harrison Ford. A ruthless cattle baron, he arrives with armed men and demands Percy be released. He also wants Jake, who has stolen gold from him during the standoff. Alien ships begin attacking the town. Percy, Taggart, and other townsfolk are abducted by grappling cables fired from the bottom of the ships. Jake's bracelet inexplicably activates and transforms, becoming a weapon. He shoots down the ship, ending the attack. That is a ship only. Dollarhide, Ella, and other townsfolk form the posse to track an injured alien that has escaped from the downed ship. Meanwhile, Jake travels to an abandoned cabin and in a flashback recalls returning to it with stolen gold and then being abducted, along with a woman named Alice, by the aliens. His memories returning, Jake joins the posse, and during the evening they come upon a capsized paddle wheel steamboat that the aliens apparently dumped far from any large river. They camp inside it during the night The aliens kills Meacham, who sacrifices himself, excuse me, to save Emmett, Taggart's grandson. The reader is being affected by the alien atmosphere in the local town here. Excuse me. By morning, most of the posse has deserted, and Jake's former gang attacks the rest. Jake, who stole the gang's loot after their last heist, attempts to retake control but is foiled. The aliens attack again and abduct Ella. Jake jumps aboard the ship and attacks the alien pilot, causing the ship to crash in the river. The pilot survives the crash and attacks Ella, fatally wounding her before Jake kills it with his wrist blaster. The remaining posse is captured by Chickasaw Apache Native Americans, who blame them for the alien attacks. After Ella's corpse is dumped on a fire by a Chihuahua warrior, she is resurrected and emerges from the fire. Ella reveals herself to be from another alien race who had traveled to Earth to help resist the invaders after they destroyed her home world. The aliens, who are mining gold and abducting people to conduct experiments on them, have superior weaponry and are far stronger and more durable than humans. Only Jake's wrist weapon, or a well-armed round from a rifle, can kill them with a single shot. Ella tells them that the previous attackers were just scouts. She also claims Jake holds a secret to the aliens' whereabouts and argues they must defeat the aliens before the invaders exterminate all life on Earth. After taking medicine offered by the Apache's medicine man, Jake's memory returns. He recalls watching Alice get vivisected and euthanized. He escaped by stealing the bracelet encasing his wrist. He also remembers the location of the aliens' base of operations, their landed mother ship. With this knowledge, they plan to attack the alien base. Jake leaves to persuade his old gang to join the fight, while Dollarhide takes command of the original group and the Apaches. After the combined groups maneuver the aliens into a ground battle, Jake and Ella board the ship and free the captives, but Jake is captured. Dollarhide rescues him, and both men escape from the ship after killing the alien responsible for Alice's death. Identified as Jake, left a distinctive scar on its eye in his original escape. The ship takes off as the remaining aliens flee Earth, but Ella stays on board to end the threat. She sacrifices herself by entering the ship's core and turning Jake's wrist weapon into a bomb. It detonates, obliterating the ship. With the aliens gone, the rescued townsfolk begin remembering their past. How about that? They still a wanted man. Jake chooses to leave. The sheriff and Dollarhide decide to claim he was killed in the invasion. The citizens intend to rebuild their town with the gold taken from the alien. Now that is really fantastic. What a movie. I was shocked when it first came out, I'd have to say, because I hadn't really fully identified the legend and the levels by which this alien slash conspiracy event has completely and broadly been unrecognized as a truth of a very, very long history on planet Earth and in our solar system and in our world realms. It covers a whole lot of bases. Any original comments from any of our friendly viewers here?
Yes, I thought it was amazing that they came to take the gold. That blends right in with what the reptilians need. They need it back to purify their air. Boy, this thing is pretty close to really what's really happening, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, when I first saw this movie, it was many years ago. I guess it was made in 2011.
Put out, yes. Distributed.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between all the Daniel Craig Bond movies.
Yeah, he's a pretty good actor. I like a lot of his movies.
Yeah, he covers a lot of bases there too, in different ones.
I thought it was strange though that he made a Western, was in a Western. A lot of these actors, they move into these different categories and they really weird, but they fit in and are pretty good.
Yes. Yep. You have any observations about where the gold came from or what the point of the operation was in this particular, in this movie or just in general?
Well, I can't, I'm trying to remember the movie. I didn't get a chance to watch it yesterday.
Yes.
And I can't remember how it went. I assume it's just like the normal process of kidnapping the local population and make them slaves and make them dig the gold. That's what we've been doing for the last 3 million years. So nothing's changed. They're just getting a little bit more accurate about history, I think, giving us hints.
Yep. And as these movies are producing a relative observation of history and or current events, it also expands it because in the present, here, now, reality is being created. And so, in a sense, all these things that supposedly happened in the past are really happening now, and or vice versa, that they're only happening now as historical events because we're acknowledging them or becoming aware of them. And this goes also for becoming aware of the alien horror show and or other words to that effect. And it also is the, we'll say it's an incorporation at that level, but vice versa, it's also an opportunity of delimiting and or eliminating this horror show from our experience and or our karmatic response and release mechanism, which humans have, and souls or spiritual beings of light or whatever those terms might be that we are able to connect to. The oddity is that also these effects or historical alienations are in a certain direct limitation or inhibition. And what I mean to say is that they will block our ability to release and recognize. And the main word is really to be aware and using and being in our real awareness, which allows this just by our awareness or isness that is our true nature. Aliens as well. This is another theme I relate to, where the aliens are also trying to work themselves out of the fanaticism of their own making and turn this entire conscious, we'll say, evolution into a direct reality of not reoccurring alienated experiences that is being alienated from the real self or the real being isness. It's a very hard thing to describe to people or to understand. However, this movie and many of our own greater experiences, dream visions, etc., can provide the presentations to us to allow us to wake up and become aware and to be as we really are, and or as the isness is, that is with us, or as we are it is. Any case, I've described this in some notes that I wrote down, and I'd like to read from them if I can. And unless Mr. Vitols or Ronald, if you have any, just another comment or two to share before that. Okay, sir.
I like to add a little something. I just loaded up on New You Saturday. Is that medical beds, covert technology rollout, and I just loaded that on. And a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right here, a lot of those secrets are revealed in that 3-hour segment. So I thought I'd give you guys a little head up.
That's a very good point, because you're referencing the alien technologies that are being uploaded and referenced, and that certainly is an important part in the movie and in
What's also in there, which is amazing, is they talk about how they're able to capture a soul, put it in a container, and then take a hybrid and transfer that into the new body. It's amazing what they have been doing, and we don't know a thing about it.
That's excellent. And as a matter of fact, let me read this that I wrote, which relates to all three of these different subjects and points that we just brought up. And then come back to that, Ronald, please, with your own, variant there. And I'm just going to go ahead with this. Today, actually, I think is a really excellent time to be, dramatically important time to be bringing these things up. Something about continuing the work of the accurate description of history, or what I call the ISTORY, ISTORY, and organizing these ideas this month, where they have an agenda, the Alien Nation agenda of perfection of some kind that they're perceiving within their own, the ill-directed order of things, we'll say. There is a necessary awareness of the matrix consternation and development in its extreme processing, the manipulation of technology, environments, and human social organizations. The themes of this movie include the racial differences, the scientific relativity, or the religious occupations of men in areas beyond God, that is, something like miners, sportsmen, gunfighting, and various moralities of sex, money, or power. The finale is an orientation where the sides of both good and bad characters attempt to work together against the aliens generally, who are as eager to get the gold as the men are, either being manipulated into gold fever or attempted murder, whichever serves their purpose. And of course, acquisition of territory and resources. Other nature spirits are involved in these different locales, meaning also sensing the heritage of the dream visions, such as in my own experience, I had of the Mexico Aztec site where the local Indians gave up the gold bullions to the Spanish invaders. And another one I had was a representation of the historical efforts of the alienation to either create or control or form dominion over human and mammalian species and reptilian promoted agendas. The gold and gem mining of the Western U.S. is clearly notable as the site of numerous parkland places that I have visited personally, and these what I call West Islands or Islands, such as meeting the Indian guides in Arizona or seeing elves in Yellowstone, both of which were demonstrating to me ideas and realities that I had not previously been aware of. I have also had experiences or relations with the Grand Canyon, Sedona, Zion, Canyon de Chelly, and many others where you can see the dramatic strip mining in the mountain and landscapes by this aliens' original invasion force. So this is another example of the conflicted and domination model of war between the states. Robbers, cops and robbers, nations and institutions of man under alien direction or invested interest in alien technologies, which is being either offered or demonstrated by their use. Hence, Ronald, and your commentary on the newest or updating on the current developments of these artificial intelligences. And in this, we can also include, of course, Area 51 and other Western military stages, such as Nevada, Utah, Colorado Mountain Nuclear Underground Site, and Roswell. Another visitation program centers, such as the Texas Marble Lights or other numerous alien projects. The rich history of the Western Hemisphere includes, well, the entire mountain and beautiful landscapes from Peru to Canada, and has catapulted the monster mash of world domination, including the Mayan and Aztec religious sacrifices, as just one very small example. Christianity is full of as well. Islam or Eastern religions abound in this kind of history, relations to Krishna, Christ, and Muhammad, or Allah. And we are thus given a very large picture in this movie, or a small picture in this movie, of the actual breadth that's just on this planet alone, much less the solar system and other planets where this historical events have been repeating. The largest one I'll mention is the disappearance of a planet that was blown up somewhere between Mars and Jupiter millenniums ago, where their space war over planetary domination, and some of that is depicted in the Martian Chronicles and other movies of this kind. And I'd like to mention here another movie following this comment, because we, the audience, are asked to suspend our disbelief and to sacrifice our own morality or principles or ideals to extend beyond our own belief systems or our own barriers and our censor, which usually protects the mind and its polarity from a case of virtual dementia that most people do not realize has also been programmed into humanity and in our genome code as well, mentally, psychically, emotionally driven. This I'm going to say, and to discover the hidden reality and the fourth dementia, which is being used in tap-line influences and the adaptations of our human ego or identifications such as hero worship or our own lack of cooperative or associative associations, I'll say, which with the lead characters in movies, idols, icon worship, etc. And in this case, what the characters must do to crash the warship or defeat the worship of things beyond their kin or our kin of knowledge. There's a lot of mouthfuls there for this movie and the life movie that we find revealing before our eyes. It's really quite a fantastic story. There's a movie that I saw about around the same time as this movie was first, the idea was first created in the late 90s, called The Lathe of Heaven. It was an English-British TV show with an American actor. I forgot his name now, but he's, any case, blonde Californian, by the way, Val. And he, in The Lathe of Heaven, which is also a book by Ursula Le Guin, excellent sci-fi book. I would almost call a seminal book, a story, which is this description of the individual having basically been contacted by an alien, and he has dream experiences. That is, every night he goes to sleep, and when he wakes up in the morning, the entire world reality is shifted according to whatever it was he dreamed. And he has this continuous series of dreams about the world and its condition. And in these series of dreams, each one he keeps trying to recreate or change the dream condition that he was in. In other words, he's trying to create, at the end, a perfect reality, which is does not have destruction, it does not have death, it does not have suffering and illusion and depictions of reality that are unrealistic or what have you. It covers a huge amount of bases of man's dreaming his reality. It's really quite incredible, an inspired story to read, and it perfectly relates here. So I don't know if you all saw the Lathe of Heaven. Ursula Le Guin is a very important science fiction writer, fantasy. She has a number of excellent, very important books of that kind. So how do we pull this all together as a storyline in order to really, I don't want to infuse the idea that we're creating reality and we want to create some kind of viewpoint or agenda or fascination or direct a reality upon our listeners and viewers and those who are either becoming aware or just fascinated, for, let's say, by the sci-fi genre, but have not made that actual connection or crossover into the true reality life is, and our recognition of our real awareness. Val, anything to you could share on that score? Or Ronald?
Going back to the other day when our friend Kevin was talking about reptilians, if you remember that, he said that a lot of reptilians are turning. They're seeing that their way is not going the way that they might think it is, because they're going into their own demise. So a lot of them are turning. And I think this movie demonstrates, well, what it demonstrates to me is a bunch of rogue teenager reptilians, you know, creating havoc on the earth, just doing, being rambunctious, you know, because for one thing, the reptilians are actually a lot more sophisticated in, you know, their both technology and who they are. But this movie demonstrates that they are just a bunch of brutes, which, you know, look at their spaceship here. It has all this exhaust and stuff going up. And this is before they created the catalytic converter in their spaceships, you could say. Their spaceships and, you know, their technology a lot more sophisticated. And Hollywood paints them as these brutes. So this is where it's challenging for these reptilians that want to turn and do something of a benefit, because it's kind of like what we're getting from the real side. There's the elite reptilians that are like here with the humans, the 1% or whatever. Well, the reptilians too, there's a lot of reptilians that are just doing what they do, and the elites are doing the havoc. So Hollywood paints these guys as the bad guys, just like Indians were painted as savages and brutes, etc. So here we have a challenge for all the reptilians that want to turn. If humans take in this information that all reptilians are evil, then, you know, when they do come out, they're going to have a challenge with confrontations, etc. So again, here we have Hollywood divide and conquer. You know, it's good cop, bad cop, aliens versus the humans, Indians versus cowboys. In this movie, actually, the Indians were siding with the cowboys to defeat the aliens, the enemy, created the enemy from the aliens. So just wanted to add that there's that going on in these movies, that we have this idea of the villain in the Iran in the media. Iran is the villain, you know, that creating nuclear weapons to destroy us. We've got to do something here. ISIS, who they created, you know, but they're always setting up a villain. I just saw one. We had a fire here in Northern California near Lake Tahoe. You know, it's the 17th largest fire in California, but they blame this father and son who are just camping out. For some reason, they targeted them. The father and son got a lawyer. They have no idea. They haven't been charged yet, but they've been, you know, arrested. There's bail. They have no idea what they've been charged for, and you know, they claim they didn't do anything, which they probably didn't, because we know these fires are started by DEWs. But here, you know, they like to blame somebody. They like to point the finger at some guy or some race or some group or some culture that are the bad guys, and they go after them. And if you don't really investigate and you just follow along with the media, then you go along with that. And here we have that with the aliens, here with the reptilians, which, yes, there are the elite alien reptilian groups that are warlike, etc., Klingon-like, but then there's the rest of the reptilians who are, whatever. And as Kevin indicated yesterday, a lot of them are turning because they see that there's nowhere else to go but to wake up, do something. Although it's dangerous. It's like it's dangerous for all of us.
That's an excellent point. And yeah, I picked that up all around. And even people who, let's say individuals, you wouldn't say they were reptilian as an example, but I think our mind has been, is a dual mind that has a hybrid, context. So that's also the avenue by which the aliens can approach, especially the ones, the dark brat, whatever, that can approach that part of the mental and hypnotize, illusionary print, value upon it, and using, abusing, etc., through those channels, the tap lining mechanism. And, so you can talk to someone who has one side of that brain working, and then they'll shift and they'll go over the other side. And then, that thing won't be there anymore. There's one side is very hostile, survivalistic, demanding, aggressive, etc. And the other side is a different thing. It's the receptivity, let's say. But I mean, I'm really limiting the real prospect of what this is, because you're pointing it out, how we are a conglomerate of subconscious, mental, emotional, physical, and whatever that our whole being is using as a whole vehicle. And these identifications also come out with the alien factors of how much of it would be us and how much of it is a programmed non-reality that is this, all these associations and historical lineups, that tap lines that we've incurred and occurred or conquered along with our lifetime of experiences, and are now becoming identified in whatever perspectives we will. And it's a very important thing to be aware of, instead of, like the other point would be the literal self, the non-literal self, that is, not adapting on these and or becoming aware of and then releasing of the entire, as many of the spectrum of tap lines and alienations that we might have adopted. At the same time, some of those things are things we might need to use at various times without having a purposeful effect. It would be like, telling someone, they're FOS, full of it, but doing it in a way where you're not doing it because you want to harm or destroy the person or even kill their ego or what have you. It's done with a purpose of reference that's needs perhaps to be communicated at a more extreme level than, but there will be, in a sense, that necessity at certain times in order for, this is all part of that worldwide wake up. So Daniel Craig had to do that in the movie here, and Olivia Wilde, both kind of confronting this weakness that they might have had, or vulnerability in their characters, or in the movie, the experiences that they had as actors. Olivia Wilde had a resurrection experience, dying and reborn. I was kind of thinking, don't go in the light, it's a trap. Kind of comment, sometimes a tough love, but that, I thought that was a very significant, one of the significant parts. And also in the movie, the cowboy alien technology part with Daniel Craig having this tool in his toolbox, his whole system toolbox. Was it actually a gun? I'm now forgetting whether it was a gun or it was just something he waved his hand and it just did whatever he was thinking it needed to do. Isn't that closer to what it actually was?
It was some kind of wrist weapon that he could activate, or was activated. Yeah, he could activate it on will, apparently, when he was fighting the reptilian.
Right, a wrist technology. I just saw that on Star Trek Discovery last night. Also, something very similar. Go ahead.
Oh, I know we're running out of time. Just a little experience that one of our seers, Sandy, had with the reptilian. We had a Skype one day, and she was listening to the Skype, and she was either playing some music on the side or thinking about something else. And there was a reptilian in the room that wanted to listen to the Skype. And he said, why don't you be quiet? I can't hear the Skype, So she was either thinking about something else or something, music was playing. So this reptilian was listening into what we were doing on our meeting. He was interested in waking up. So that's just a little example. Whether you believe it or not, this is her experience. She's a seer. She can see into the other dimensions, and she has this portal in her room, this closet that they come out of, these aliens and reptilians. And this one particular reptilian wanted to listen, so it was.
Cool. There's a poltergeist a bit with the closet and stuff from that movie. Ronald, anything summary you have?
Well, I sort of like to back Val up on the two people that were accused of the fires up there in Northern California. That's typical of when they want to blame somebody else to get the pressure off of them. It's just common. It's like when JFK was assassinated by James File. He shot him from the grassy knoll, and he said he even left the bullet or the shell casing on the fence after he bit it with in a certain position of the bend in the shell matched the bullet, and he left that on the fence. See, and they're blaming Oswald, and Oswald, he's sitting in a theater somewhere. So this is just typical of them trying to blame somebody else to put the pressure on somebody else and not them.
Ronald, okay. That's very important relation. I'm going to complete here. I'm just going to go back and review the last two lines of the plot summary, because I think that this relates to exactly everything here. With the knowledge, they plan to attack the alien base, and Jake leaves to persuade his old gang to join the fight, with Dollarhide takes command of the original group and the Apaches. After the combined groups maneuvered the aliens into a ground battle, Jake and Ella board the ship and free the captives. Jake gets captured. Dollarhide rescues him, and both men escape from the ship after killing the alien responsible for Alice's death. The ship takes off as the remaining aliens flee Earth, but Ella stays on board to end the threat. She sacrifices herself by entering the ship's core and turning Jake's wrist weapon into a bomb. It detonates, obliterating the ship. With the aliens gone, the rescued townsfolk start remembering their past. Still, a wanted man, Jake chooses to leave. The sheriff and Dollarhide decide to claim he was killed in the invasion. The citizens intend to rebuild their town with the gold taken from the alien. In other words, wake up and build a true reality life is. I want to thank you guys for participating and us all for being here. I welcome anybody's passing this video along to the human race.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Val. Thank you, Ronald.